multitasking. I love it.
I would have had it going already if I had remembered that everything. So
You're good. You're good. We are good. Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. All right. So let's get started. I wanted to start by saying, and I said this before, everything that I feel like I'm a curator, right? Like I'm not having these original ideas. I don't do imperial research here. This is all stuff that I've read and consumed on many different places, social media, Google, just figuring stuff out. So one of the people that I follow or started following and then bought her books is Dr. Amy Shah. So this whole workshop is literally breaking down her book. She has two books. One is Why Am I So Effing Tired, or I'm So Effing Tired. And then this book, I'm So Effing Hungry. And in this book, she talks about these 5 steps to kind of get yourself on the right track and not be so hungry all the time. And it also plays into the sleep stuff. Her tired book is a little bit doubles down on that side of it, and this doubles down on the cravings part of it. But it all ties into all the stuff that we're learning about. So I read the book like 5 times, and it took me that long to kind of really take on board all the stuff. So I wanted to make it really simple for you and break it down, and then we'll have some easy buttons at the end. So Dr. Amy Shah is a world leader in nutrition. She was writing for Mind Body Green. If you ever follow that site, or you like, sometimes I Google stuff and like that site would come up, but she was a writer for them, and she's really into the gut brain connection, which is kind of new-ish science. It's been around for a while, but right now they're doing a lot of studies about that gut brain connection and how the gut really controls so many functions in our body. So,
Emily, quick
mm-hmm.
question to you. Is this some of the stuff, and maybe I'll know by the end of this workshop today, but some of this stuff could apply to people like Grace's age. Like my daughter-in-law has a lot of the same, like I'm always hungry, like I am, and she's 26.
Absolutely. This can apply to anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. For sure. Anyway, she's got some unique training. So in multiple specialties, she's a double board certified physician, an MD, but her specialties also include medicine and nutrition. So she started out as a nutritionist and then went into immunology. So she's got a lot of knowledge, and it kind of makes her a unique voice in the medical world because she's got this different perspective about how food can heal and be medicine, which is, really at the end of the day, unless you want to be paying the pharmaceutical companies a ton of money, I always say follow the money. I don't want to get political here, but I really think that there is something broken in our healthcare system where doctors are not trained to do anything but prescribe. So she's kind of, in my opinion, she really has it right. So I've distilled down her 5-step plan from I'm So Effing Hungry. And the steps are these: replenish, rewire, reset, refresh, and retrain. And I'm going to go through what each of those steps entail and how we're going to get there. So the first thing is replenish. And what are the 6 super 6 nutrients and how can I incorporate them daily? So replenish for me means eat enough of the things that satisfy you. There's specific foods that I'm going to teach you about that promote feelings of fullness. And if you focus on what she coins the super 6, and you can Google the super 6, and like everybody's got their own like superfood 6 daily list, but hers is really specific for a very specific reason, which is what is going to make you get the most benefit out of what you're eating, and also stop cravings, stop your blood sugar from spiking, etc. So if we focus on these super 6 nutrients that we target daily, they're going to be glucosinolates, polyphenols, amino acids, protein that gives you dopamine, omega-3s, and fiber. And I'm going to talk you through each one and what foods to target and the why. So if some of those words are words you've never heard before, that is fine. You will kind of understand what they are at the end of this. Some of them, you probably heard omega-3s, you guys know fiber, protein, you probably heard amino acids. So if this is all new information, we're just going to kind of go through it. I'm going to give you a document at the end that you can refer to. So do not worry. So the first super six is glucosinolates. And this is really your cruciferous vegetables, arugula, broccoli, bok choy, anything from the broccoli family, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, collard greens, all this stuff. I'm not going to read it to you, but why are these important? Number one, they're high in fiber, which makes you feel full. And they have a lot of nutrients. So a lot of these have been coined superfoods. This has been around for a long time. They also make compounds called metabolites. So metabolites will halt inflammation in your body and help you accelerate your metabolism. And they also create this enzymatic reaction that can guard against cellular damage. And lastly, they have some natural antibiotics to help you ward off infections. So how am I going to get all of this stuff on a daily basis, right? Nobody wants you cooking broccoli in the lunchroom microwave, right? That stinks, and we don't want that. I find that these raw vegetables, if you eat them raw, they're kind of more nutritious. But have you ever had like a veggie tray and you grab the broccoli and it's freaking dry, and then you've got broccoli all over your teeth and you're like, I wish I hadn't done that, right? It's hard to eat raw broccoli, is my point. So the reason that I'm showing this picture is this is the Cruciferous Crunch blend. I stole it from Dr. Mary Claire Haver and her Galveston diet. She makes something called the Kelly salad. And I kind of feel like she stole the Kelly salad from somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. I'm coining it the Cruciferous Crunch Veggie Blend because I think that kind of is a little bit more descriptive of what it is. But I just put all this stuff, and I had a workshop last weekend where I recorded myself making it. I put it in the food processor, and it's almost like pre-chewed, right? When you eat a salad, you're like at the end of it, like, I want to eat this, but I don't want to chew so much lettuce and greens and vegetables. This will help you just shovel in the greens. So we're going to get there, but I make a big batch of this at the beginning of the week or on the weekend when I'm meal prepping. It takes like 15 minutes. And then I've got a bag of it and I throw it in everything. And I'm going to go over like what are the different uses. So the next super six is number 2 is polyphenols. So you see the list: avocado, all berries, chili pepper, citrus fruit, flax seeds, dark chocolate. Got a little star by that because chocolate is actually something you should be eating almost daily. Coffee, that's another one I want to underline because I love my coffee. Garlic, legumes, like this is a really vast list. Like this does not seem thematic to me. Green tea, pumpkin and spinach, all of these things don't seem related to me like the cruciferous stuff does, but they go across a wide variety of different foods, and you should just try and be getting these on a daily basis, one or multiples of these types of foods. So the reason is supports the balance of gut bacteria and diversity. They also kind of normalize your hunger and appetite. So they promote the secretion of these satiety hormones, these types of foods. If you ever notice, if you've ever done intermittent fasting and you have a cup of black coffee in the morning, if you were hungry before, sometimes that hunger goes away, and it's because of the hormones that are released in the brain that say, okay, you're not so hungry. We've got this. So they also assist with insulin and prevent insulin resistance. So one of the things that I want to introduce that has a lot of these polyphenols is the MBP oatmeal. Another thing that I want to show you, I have this note here on this slide. I don't know why, but I think I didn't really say anything about it. But this is a peppermint roll-on thing. And peppermint is also something that will help prevent cravings. So if you've got a strong craving for something, I can almost always tell when I'm going to have my period. I'll just leave it at that. There's lots going on with that where it's not regular. But if I know I'm going to get it, if I am craving popcorn and salty snacks like that, I will be found with a giant tub of popcorn the day before. And then the next day, hello, there's my friend. But anyway, so I know when that craving's coming on. So this peppermint is supposed to, and I don't know if it actually works because I just like to eat my popcorn, but you can sniff this. And I used to just have it here at my desk when I was working, and if I'd feel like I just wanted to snack, like I was just like, oh, I need something, I'd kind of like, maybe I just need to sniff this peppermint. So you might want to try that. Jury's out whether it works or not, but it smells good. And I've got peppermint up my nose now. All right, moving on to the next. Number 3 is appetite suppressing amino acids. So there are 1, 2, 3, there's 5 amino acids that she targets. Arginine, lysine, phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan. You've heard of that before. Leucine, it's in a lot of dairy products. So I'm going to tell you what the examples are. You do not need to remember these, but examples of arginine and lysine are almonds, apricots, avocado, beef, chicken, lentils, plums, pork. Phenylalanine, beef, chicken, fish, milk, nuts, seeds, sweet potatoes, tofu, whole grains. I'm saying this because later I want to say, see all the overlap of these foods. Tyrosine is in bananas, beans and lentils, cheese, eggs, fish, pork again, poultry again, prunes, seeds of all kinds, spirulina, tryptophan, beans, beef, eggs, milk, and nuts, oatmeal. It says port. I think it's poultry, seeds, and tofu. Leucine, beef, cottage cheese, eggs, lentil, hemp seeds, navy beans, oatmeal, peanuts, pork, pumpkin, sesame seeds, again, spirulina and tuna. Okay, so there's a lot of overlap of the different foods that you can eat that have a lot of these. So I'm going to get to like, what are the things you can eat where you're going to get all this stuff? But in the meantime, I kind of want you just to hear it once first here. So why would you want to eat these appetite suppressing amino acids? Because they're appetite suppressants. Naturally, they suppress your appetite. They make you feel full. They're also the building blocks of protein. So you'll notice there's a lot of, a lot of things on those lists that have protein in them. So they make up the compounds of protein. All right. Don't be confused. Just amino acids. Now I'm saying dopamine promoting whole foods. The examples of these are mostly proteins. So protein promotes dopamine in the brain. It makes you feel happy and full. Chicken, fish, lean beef, almost all the foods mentioned in the previous slides, plus scallions, chickpeas, papaya, garlic, and leafy greens. So eating protein is the healthiest way to boost dopamine. We all know that you can get a dopamine boost if you snort cocaine, if you eat hyperpalatable processed foods like Doritos, right? Dopamine boost, sugar, fat, processed foods, all the junk food is going to give you a dopamine boost. But the difference between eating something like protein and cocaine and other drugs and things like that is those sugar and drugs create crashes and can become addictive, right? You take a ton of sugar, you crash, and what do you need to feel better? More sugar. Same with cocaine, same kind of with like any drug, heroin. That's why people become addicts and overdose, because they're trying to chase that high. With protein, you don't get that same crash. So what happens is a sustained dopamine boost. So it's a very big difference, but it's really important to think about, if I can get my dopamine from my food and I can sustain it and create this baseline, I'm laughing. There's a little bit about this at the end about coffee, and like there's a kind of a tipping point with coffee where coffee becomes that crashing mechanism as well. So yeah, protein. Get your protein here. Going to the next slide. Omega-3s. I love omega-3 fatty acids. So examples here are algae oil. Some eggs are now fortified with omega-3s. If you pay up for those, they're already so expensive. Fish like anchovies, herring, lake trout, sardines, all the little weird canned fish that probably nobody really ever eats. Salmon, nuts, seeds, lots of stuff like that. Why? They boost leptin, the I'm full hormone, which I've been talking about. So one of the biggest ones, the reason I have this video of walnuts dancing around my screen is because walnuts are a really, really good source of omega-3s. And they also, there's been a study done where people who ate a certain amount of walnuts every day felt fuller and lost more weight. So although they're high in fat and calories, they could be considered a weight loss wonder food. So their protein and fiber can help fight hunger pangs. Their healthy fats have positive effects on hormones that control your appetite, that being leptin, and it delays the release of appetite stimulating hormone ghrelin. So there's leptin and ghrelin. One's telling you to eat, one's telling you you're full. And walnuts talk to the leptin and say, control the appetite, release the leptin, and damper down the stimulation of appetite with ghrelin. So it's working on both ends of the hunger spectrum, stimulates areas of the brain that make food choices. And how much, I really tried to zero in on what is the secret sauce of like, how many walnuts should you eat? Because right, they're fattening, they're high in calories. I want to eat too much, but I want to eat enough to make a difference. So it's kind of up for debate. In this particular study, they use 48 grams of walnuts, which is 14 walnuts. I see articles that suggest 3 to 5 nuts. I've been eating like, about a quarter cup of walnuts a day and just kind of, trying not to eat them with reckless abandon, but also not really holding back too much. At first, if you're not used to eating walnuts, what I will say is they get stuck in your teeth and you feel like you just need to like go floss and brush after you're eating them. But Grace had some feedback for me after she was trying walnuts, and she's like, I don't know if I can do the walnuts. It's like tree bark. So look, if you don't like walnuts, one thing you could do is just like chop them up really fine and stick them in, the study actually stuck these walnuts in a smoothie for these people. I'm not a big fan of smoothies because, it's kind of a form of processing food. And I think people sometimes overeat calories when they just drink their food. But that's one way. Put it in some oatmeal.
I was going to say, Emily, I don't really love walnuts. I never have been. I've been an almond girl my whole life, but because you've educated me on the benefit of walnuts, I now always have a bag, but I put them in that oatmeal every morning because I don't really love to eat them just plain, but it feels really good because it adds the texture to the oatmeal, the crunch, and it blends in, and it's so good. Like I now am a huge fan of the walnut.
We need to tell Grace that because yes, she mentioned that to me as well, Emily. She said, I like cashews, but she says I have to eat walnuts. And I was just going to say, I have a giant walnut tree in my backyard, like 75 feet tall. So if we could figure out how to get them out of the hard green thing that they come in and do it before the squirrels get them, I could supply the whole team with walnuts, but
that's amazing. I don't even know how they get out of the green thing. I'm sure.
I think it's probably hard. I'll have to Google it. I'll report.
That's exciting. I wish I had a walnut tree because I'm like single-handedly upholding the world's like supply of walnuts here.
Well, I live in Walnut Creek, where the walnut trees started, right? I used to have walnut trees all in the backyard until they started building houses and tore down all the walnut trees.
Oh, yeah.
Which is such a shame. But yeah, walnut, this has been one of there's been so many little things I've learned through this program, but incorporating the walnuts now into different things has been a big benefit. I do find that it really does help me stay full longer.
Yeah, one of the things I've been doing is I make like a little trail mix with I do like 10 walnuts. So 3 to 5 whole nuts is like 10 halves. So I do like 10 halves of a walnut. I stick a little bit of coconut flakes, and then I do my dark chocolate, like cacao chips, and I make like a little trail mix, and I eat it in the afternoon when I think this is when I'm going to get hungry for a snack. And it's really helped tide me over to bridge the gap between lunch and dinner.
I love walnuts, so it won't be an issue for me.
Walnuts. All right. Fiber. There's 3 kinds of fiber: soluble, insoluble, and prebiotic fiber. So soluble are things like apples, avocado, black beans. Insoluble is bran, cauliflower, green beans, nuts, whole grains. Prebiotic, things like asparagus, banana, chicory root. Leeks is on that list. Basically any vegetable. So why do you want to eat fiber? And by the way, any of these fibers are great. What's not great is like powdered fiber, like Metamucil, or like that's just yes, it's going to help you if you have digestive problems, but for a lot of people, that stuff can really mess up your digestive system and create a lot of dependency. Like, I can't go poop unless I have my Metamucil. Like, just eat some vegetables, you know, eat the foods that are going to get you to like 35 grams of fiber a day is really what you want to try and target. You don't have to count your grams of fiber. I'm going to give you recipes that are going to get you to your 35 grams. So why do I want to eat fiber? Everybody knows fiber bulks up in your gut, provides fullness, actual fullness, because it provides volume. And it takes longer to digest. So it stays in your system longer, making you feel fuller longer on less calories. It also contributes greatly to a healthy gut microbiome and aids in your digestion. So this is where my recipe for oatmeal really comes in strong, because we're putting oatmeal, we're putting fruit on here, we're adding seeds to it. It hits all the marks. Okay, so this is the how. How the hell am I going to eat all this stuff? This is what you might be thinking. How do I eat all of this every day? And it might seem like right now, if you're not eating super healthy, or if you're just not eating a lot of this stuff that I mentioned, it could seem complicated. So the easy buttons are, I can get you through breakfast and lunch and get you all 6 items easily with the oatmeal and the cruciferous crunch. So these 2 recipes requires a little planning, right? Like today I made my oatmeal, I made it for breakfast, I prepped, the recipe makes 11 servings. I put it in a jar, then I add my berries, it goes in the fridge, and I don't have to think about it for like a week and a half. So meal prep for me is the key to getting through all this. If you don't like to spend your weekends meal prepping, I totally get it. But here's what I'm asking you to think about. If you can get a bunch of meals out of the way, you're only messing up your kitchen one time. So you're not cleaning multiple times. Let's get a bunch of them out of the way. And then you know you're going to be eating right too, if you can just grab that stuff. So I pack my breakfast and my lunch for work every day. So it would cost me a fortune to be hitting, the Whole Foods for this stuff. So I just take literally like 2 hours on the weekend to meal prep. I make, a soup that I make I just batch cook. So wouldn't you like your first meal of the day to be packed with as much nutrition as possible? I'm going to play a little game. It's called Who Am I? I'm delicious. I'm creamy. I'm hot. I'm satisfying. Some people have trouble eating all of me, but I have less than 300 calories per serving and 5 out of the 6 Super 6. Who am I? You already know the answer.
Oatmeal.
The magic oatmeal, the MVP
The magic oatmeal. Exactly. So steel cut oats. I put in a cup of steel cut oats. I put in a 1/4 cup of hemp seeds. I put in a 1/4 cup of chia seeds. I put in a 1/2 cup of flax seeds in a pan. I pour a can, and I get the Trader Joe's coconut milk because it doesn't have any preservatives or gums in it. That means that the cream hardens up at the top and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get out. But if your coconut milk shakes up and it pours out like milk, it's got gums in it. So Trader Joe's brand is fine. I get the light just to save calories, but it doesn't really matter. And I put that in there, and then I add 3 cups of water. And one of the cups of water is the hot water that I pour into the can of coconut to get all of the coconut, the hard parts melted. Just a little hack. And then on top, I put 6 ounces of fruit. I don't care what kind of fruit it is. It can be apples. You can sprinkle cinnamon on it. You can put anything really. Sometimes I put a banana, but the easy button for me is I just get big bags of mixed berries, organic blueberries at Costco, and I put 6 ounces. The oatmeal I measure, because as you know, the grains we want to really keep control over, but that's the only thing that I measure is the oatmeal. And it's easy because I have my little scale, I measure it out, put it in the jar, put the berries in the jar, and then that is ready to go. And then on the day that I'm eating it, I have my cottage cheese. So I need a protein with it. I like cottage cheese. If you don't like cottage cheese, you could have Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, or You could have hard-boiled eggs on the side. When we're adding more protein in, which is, there's a whole section on protein that we're going to get to in 2 workshops. You might think, I'm going to have some hard-boiled eggs with that and the cottage cheese. So seems like a lot of food. My mom can't eat a whole bowl of her oatmeal. Like, she always complains, it's too much food. But I will tell you that if you eat this, you won't be hungry until lunchtime. I used to always, try and really like not eat very much for breakfast. And then I'd have like second breakfast, and then I'd have lunch, and then I'd still need a snack because, I wasn't eating enough food and I was hungry all the time. And also, as menopausal women, our hormones are telling us to eat more, but eat the right things is really what they're telling us. So,
hey, one thing to share that you did for me, the hack, this looks like a lot of things you have to add, but you made that big batch of seed mix, so you put the hemp, the chia, the flax, all in a big container, you measured it out accordingly. And then it's so easy in the morning. I just take my already measured out oatmeal, and then I just dump the seed mix, all the seeds in at one time. I just dump the seed mix in, nuke it with the frozen berries, because then those frozen berries kind of melt all into the oatmeal.
Yep.
And then when that's done, just throw the cottage cheese, mix it up, and it takes 2 seconds, but I love having the seed mix in my freezer because I can sprinkle it on anything like a salad or put it
but
in
I'm
that
going to go
oatmeal.
one step further, Jen. So in the beginning, that's what I was doing, and I was having to scoop out the seed blend. But now I'm actually making the oatmeal with the seeds, with enough servings of the seeds in.
Oh, you make it. Oh, okay.
I
You
make it together, and then it's all cooked in one, and then it's even faster because I don't even have to add that.
Oh, okay. All right.
I keep the seed blend for I sprinkle it on salads and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Recipe now has been changed to just include all of it in one. And then, so that's the oatmeal gives you 5 of the super 6. What it doesn't have is cruciferous vegetables. So we're going to get our glucosinolates plus the polyphenols and the fiber from this plant-based mixture. I have been experimenting with all kinds of different things that I can put this on. I can, anytime I'm sauteing meat, I used to grate zucchini into it. And now I add zucchini and the crunch blend into like taco meat, or for spaghetti sauce, or, if I'm making stuffed peppers, meatballs, I throw it into soups. I throw it into my chili. And then I make salads. Like I made it with tuna, just open a can of tuna on top of that, put some yogurt or some mayo, add different fruit in there. I made like kind of a Waldorf salad with chicken. I served to Jen the other day to taste test. I've done a can of salmon. You can add it to a salad. You can put this on almost everything. So when I've got it in, if I make too much, because a lot of times the quantities of I don't really measure it out. Like I've got a bag of Brussels sprouts, and I've got a head of broccoli, and I've got a half a head of cabbage, and that makes a lot. But sometimes I'll freeze half of it for like a week when I don't have time to meal prep. And then I can take that out of the freezer for that week. It's got to kind of go into cooked foods when I do that. Or I'll give it to my neighbor who's also doing the program. She's like, thank you. So, you could take turns with friends if you've got people close by that are doing it, and you can share it. So that's what I do there. But it's actually really good, unless you really hate broccoli and stuff. But a lot of people don't like kale. It's got kale in it. It's so small, you don't even know it's there. Yum, yum. All right. So the second step, that was the first step, and that was all the super 6 nutrients. We're done with that. The second step in her sort of 5-step plan is to rewire your brain. If you Google rewire your brain, there are hundreds of books that talk about it and articles that talk about neuroplasticity. And really, it's not super new science. It's been around for a while, but they're just starting to use its application in a lot of everyday things. So that eating disorder program that I went through did not deal with all of my trauma and bullshit. It dealt with just rewiring my brain around food. So you can learn and unlearn things that you can make into habit, because your brain is just so powerful. So you can rewire your brain around all of the things you struggle with and create healthy habits in place of the ones you want to change. And I always tell people, be careful what you say about yourself. And I catch myself doing this too. Oh, that was so stupid, or I'm so stupid. your brain doesn't know the difference between you saying it or someone else saying it. And it starts to believe that. So have positive thoughts, say positive things. It kind of sounds hokey, but it's really true. Your brain will start to adapt to the positivity. That is all we have on rewiring. No, we have this. So we can rewire with things like intermittent reward scheduling. One issue I heard from several of you is they can't stop snacking, or they need a sweet treat after a meal. So one thing you can try is something called intermittent reward scheduling. So if you think about how a casino, Natalie and I were just in a casino the other day, it was horrible in every way. First of all, let's start with the smoking. Second of all, let's start with like the people drinking big, huge things of soda sitting at a freaking machine. It was horrible.
However, the bathrooms were cool.
The bathrooms were amazing. We'll give it that. Yes, they were.
Very, yeah, very tech forward with the tissue paper on the toilets.
Yeah, you push a button or you wave your hand over a thing and this plastic thing replenishes. So you've got like a clean toilet seat. I wish every toilet had that, especially the ones at the Shell station on the 101. Anyway, if you think about the way that casinos work and how they keep people gambling, it's not because they win all the time. It's because sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And people keep coming back to gamble because the reward centers in the brain are being stimulated and triggered by that activity. And they need more and more of their little drug there. In this case, it's gambling itself, but the dopamine that releases in the brain when they win is really what's driving that behavior. And the urge is very strong. So let's just take your habit of maybe eating a little bit of chocolate. If you can't stop eating chocolate and you feel like every time you have a meal, you need like something sweet after it, because I was that person. And it got to the point where I was like, first it was after dinner, and then it was like kind of after lunch, I need something in the afternoon. And then I was like, after, if I had like an omelet for breakfast, I'd be like, I need a treat now. And it gets crazy, right? So if your habit is eating chocolate, an example of what you might do with intermittent reward scheduling is having that chocolate or the sweet thing or whatever it is, take 3 days a week to have the treat. Whatever it is, you plan it out ahead and you say on Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to have it. On Wednesday morning, I'm going to have it. And then on Saturday night, I'm going to have it. And then the next week, do 3 different days, different schedules each week. And the more random you maintain, you get this baseline of dopamine flowing in. It's not after every single meal. Your brain isn't expecting it after you eat that meal. And so you're building out or phasing out the predictability of when you're going to have that treat, so that you don't have a tolerance and you need more and more of this pleasurable thing to get the same dopamine boost. So it can work in a number of different ways. It's just using the chocolate as an easy one. And then when you're having the treat, so if we're going to use this example, sit back and enjoy it. Relax, do nothing but savor the treat, taste the flavor, taste the crunch, smell the good smells, think positive thoughts, tune out any thoughts about food moral value. Think about what was enjoyable. Don't think about it as a bad thing or a cheat day. That mentality is what gets us into binging mentality, and enjoy it without any remorse. So that's with chocolate, but you can imagine anything that you're doing, right? That's a habit that you're trying to break or build. You randomize it, and then, you're having it when you are in control of having it, if that makes sense. The other thing you can do, and this works really well if you're trying to cut down on your alcohol, because that has been something that I've definitely wanted to focus on, is you can pair a good habit with your bad habit. Let's say that drinking is not a great habit. I think we can all agree that excessive drinking is definitely not good for you. So pair it with drinking water. So for every drink you have, you follow it by having a glass of water in between, sparkling water, whatever, or a mocktail. And that way you're enjoying the social aspect of the drink and maybe the taste without sacrificing or without just overdoing it, right? Also, we all know that like in this example, you know, hydrating when you're drinking can help you with your hangover anyway. So those are two ways that we can build habits, pairing good habits with your bad habits. You know, if your bad habit, I'm just trying to think, if your bad habit is eating Cheetos, let's say, every time you eat Cheetos, let's get a plate of carrots or carrots and celery along with it. So every time you're eating every bite of Cheeto is followed by a carrot. That could help you break that habit because you're doing it with something healthy.
Hey, Emily, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
If you have this program, like for me, when I eat a meal where it's savory and then I feel like the need to kind of have something sweet afterwards, like I definitely feel that need for a sweet taste at the end of the meal.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't lean into something that's like chocolate or whatever, but if I decide to change what defines sweet, like I have oranges that are cold in the refrigerator, or I make a chia pudding that has, you know, good stuff in it. It's not necessarily that I have to stop myself from having the sweet craving. It's that I can maybe put something sweet there that isn't bad for me.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people like try some fruit, right? Try some fruit with yogurt. Monica Hare was really struggling. She did my program in January, and I said, you know what I did for a while when I was really, really on the sugar train was I would cut a banana in half, one half for Gary, one half for me. I drizzle some drippy almond butter on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd sprinkle some coconut flakes on it, and we'd eat it with a fork and like sit there and have it like dessert, like a banana split. And I'd put some yogurt on it sometimes. And she tried it the same day and she's like, that was so good. And it really, really helped. But here's the thing, Jen. Yes, you should. Like sometimes you just want something extra or you want something more, and doing that in a healthy way is great. And I have tons of like options for that. But if it becomes this habit where your brain knows that after a meal, it's got to have the thing, you just need to reflect and say, do I want to change that habit? Because it's really a habit. It's really not, it's a craving, but the craving is built out of the habit. So if you rewire your brain around the habit of having something sweet, you'll just wake up one day eventually and you'll have like a dinner and you'll be like, I don't need anything. And it's kind of crazy how it works. I was always very surprised about that. So in addition, in terms of rewiring your brain, journal about self-care and all the new choices you're focusing on, right? Like just know what it means to have like self-care and thoughts about self-care. It's just a good practice to get into. And I think I talked about like a contemplative practice. I don't think it needs to be, you know, an hour of meditation, but just get into a habit of gratitude, even if it's just saying, you know, at the end of the day, like what good things happened today, and just focusing on that. That can really be helpful in how you see the world. I already said, be careful of your word and thoughts. The brain doesn't know the difference, and that's so true. So practicing gratitude has been proven to correlate with happiness. And, you know, this is an overgeneralization, but just start thinking about different ways that you can kind of just be positive in your life. It's going to make a difference. And over time, you know, I don't expect you to just start doing all kinds of stuff that you've never done before. But oh, I'm looking at all these stuff for, I'm looking at the chat that I wasn't looking at before. Sorry, I'll keep this up. But I want you to know about it, and then eventually we can start incorporating it. Like it might not be until the end of this 30 days because we're trying to do so many different things, but just keep that in your back pocket as something that will really change your life. That's all I'm going to say about that. Next slide, please. The next item is refresh. So it's all about sleep. Prolonged lack of sleep does a lot of really bad things to your body. It decreases your brain power, it weakens your immune response, it kills your sex drive, it increases your cravings for sweets. So Thursday night, I went out to a concert at the Fillmore and it was amazing. And then I got home after midnight, and then I got up and I did I got up at 4 o'clock to do the workout. I had intense cravings for sweets and carbs all day. And I used to notice that when I didn't get enough sleep and I didn't know why. And I couldn't, I mean, I was eating all day. I wanted a snack. And it's because you're trying to find something that's going to make you feel better. It ages the skin, it depletes your energy. It is linked to diabetes and heart disease and also some cancers. So it also really screws with your hormones. So the hormones involved in sleep are, again, ghrelin and leptin. Those are the hormones that govern hunger and appetite. Ghrelin's job is to make you hungry. Leptin suppresses appetite, and lack of sleep leads to more. So when a person sleeps, the leptin levels normally rise, subduing the need to eat at night, right? You're not waking up in the middle of the night hungry. So you can go, 8 hours without eating. During the day, you wouldn't necessarily feel like you could do that so easily. So it plays a part in your sleep. So when the leptin levels normally rise, you don't need to eat. It reassures the brain that the energy reserves are adequate for the time. But sleep deprivation increases the ghrelin. And the way I keep these two hormones straight is ghrelin is like my stomach is growling, right? I'm hungry. So ghrelin levels increase when you don't get enough sleep, and it also lowers. So it's working in the opposite way that you want it. You've got lower levels of leptin that are suppressing your appetite and higher levels of the things that are making you hungry. So it's no wonder when you don't get enough sleep, you feel hungry. That is how it works. When you sleep, something called growth hormone is released. Growth hormone is super important to aging. It's super important to weight loss and metabolism. It's the building block. It's released at night. It repairs your skin and your gut and your muscles. It promotes cognitive function and well-being. And it's just the only time that your body is releasing that hormone is when you're sleeping. So if you're not, again, it's working against you if you're not letting your body have enough time to repair. Insulin uses glucose from carbs for energy when you have too little sleep, and it can cause insulin resistance. So that's how that plays in. If you don't really understand the whole insulin resistance, it's a very complicated subject. And I attempted to build in some slides that talk about insulin resistance and how it works. And it wound up being like a whole hour in and of itself. So I might make that its own workshop if people are interested in it, because I find it fascinating, but it is a very complex system in your body. But so many people in this country have problems with diabetes, and that is where insulin resistance is, at the precipice of all of it. So more on that maybe to come. Next slide, please. Nope. So I'm going to ask you, how is your sleep hygiene? So sleep hygiene is the term that is used to describe healthy sleep habits or behavior. Oh, Jen, growth hormone shots kick. Suzanne Summers. Yeah.
Nicole had asked a question. Didn't some people do shots of GH?
Yeah.
I remember that
Yeah.
whole big thing that was out there about people doing the growth hormone shots.
Yeah, it's just really expensive. And I don't think it kept, now people are doing all of the Ozempic and stuff like that. And I think that also helps release growth hormone, but you can get it in a much more healthy way. Jen actually asked me yesterday if she should maybe consider Ozempic if she wanted to lose weight. And I just immediately, like, over text, it all but yelled at her, because there is a lot of, you can find information that's going to support whatever you're looking for, but there are so many long-term side effects. There haven't been enough long-term studies done. And I just think if there's money to be made, which in this case, there's a ton of money to be made off of these drugs, these pharmaceutical companies do not give a shit if you have diarrhea for the rest of your life, right? If you can't make it to the toilet, if they can make a buck off of you. I was just oversimplifying some of the side effects, but there is, people have like really disturbed digestive issues. That's already showing up, and it's sustained. It's chronic. It doesn't go away when you stop taking the pills. So,
And just to double down on that, I would think we talked about it on the first call, but almost all my friends that are overweight or like in the same situation that I am, they are all taking it. And they're like, why don't
Mhm.
you take it with us, Nicole? And I'm like, but you don't seem, they're not building good habits. Every doctor that prescribed it did not tell them what to eat. So they're eating the same things and just taking this. And like one of them has gotten down to a very unhealthy weight. And I went to dinner with her, and well, I thought we were going to dinner. We ordered one appetizer. She had 2 bites, 2 drinks. I didn't want to order dinner by myself, and she didn't want to eat any more food. I came home and I was like, Scott, I'm starving because
Yeah.
and she is like she's so skinny now. I said, what are you going to do? She said, I'll be on it for the rest of my life on maintenance. She said
Nicole,
that.
I have the same
Yeah,
thing with I know several people that have gone on
yeah,
it, who I wouldn't say they weren't obese or anything. They just wanted to lose like, you know,
10 pounds or whatever.
yeah,
50,
20
yeah.
pounds, whatever. And they're basically assigning it as their life way of managing weight. They're always going to stay on it. They all drop the weight very quickly. But to your point, they're still eating crappy food. I mean, I still see some of the crap they eat, and it's amazing that it works as well as it does, but it doesn't change. It's not a healthier way of living. They're just
Do
using
they
something.
feel good? I mean, I would ask, do they feel good? Do they have energy? They're
Yeah.
not eating, they're not going to have
Yeah.
energy. It makes you
Yeah.
have aversion to the food. It makes you not want to eat. So that's great if you have, issues with overeating, but
It's so
there's
expensive.
other
It's
ways.
just scary how mainstream it's just scary how rampant
It
it is. I mean, I can't believe
is.
how many people are taking it.
It is.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
We're looking for an easy situation, so
Yeah.
I
The
would say
magic
like
nothing
pill.
is easy.
plastic surgery is probably better for you than taking Ozempic.
Because then you have to learn how to eat. You have to learn like I need to get a certain amount of nutrients, or I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
be getting like infusions of vitamin D, or whatever if I can't absorb nutrients. So yeah, at least you have to learn
Mhm.
some habits there. I would agree.
Yeah. Steer clear. So back
For
back
Brian, right?
sleep
Right.
hygiene, healthy habits, behaviors that you can practice around that help improve your ability to fall asleep, to remain asleep throughout the night. So if you establish a good sleep hygiene throughout the day, it will impact like different things that you can do throughout the day or before bed. It's going to impact both the quality and the quantity of sleep you're going to get each night. And it also plays a really significant like exercise and avoiding too much caffeine late in the day, following an anti-inflammatory diet, which is what this is. This says take probiotics. I think eat probiotic foods is what I would say when we do our gut health workshop. I have something to say about store-bought probiotics. They're just very expensive, and I don't think they're super effective. So just put that out there if you're thinking about buying probiotics. But also like reducing your environment, right? Reducing the bright light, wear blue light glasses. We're all on our phones at night. Like, I just don't think that's even reasonable to say, stay off your phone an hour before bed, because I use my phone as my alarm, and it's just not part of my lifestyle. But I do wear my blue light glasses at night to kind of reduce the amount of brain stimulation that I'm getting from the lights. Keep a cold room, make it quiet. You want to make sure that you set aside enough hours of sleep. So, Dr. Shaw says more than 7 hours, 7 or more hours of sleep is recommended. Everybody is different. Some people can get by on less sleep. And I have found, and there's a whole book about, God, I forgot what it's called. Like, basically they're these life hack books. There's these people who like do all this experimentation around like, I can get 4 hours of sleep, but have like really good mental clarity if I'm eating all the right, if I'm eating certain kind of MCT oil and buttered coffee and whatever. I think there is some validity to that, because once I started eating right and hydrating, I had so much energy, and I was getting up. I get up at 4, but like I have a ton of energy now that I'm eating right. I was so tired. Like 2 years ago, couldn't get out of bed for a 6 o'clock workout. could not get out of bed. And now sometimes I'm just awake and I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to get up. And I think I'm going to have to take a nap in the afternoon, but I don't. I go to bed early, but I think that you can set yourself up for maybe not needing as much sleep. It does catch up. Last night I went to bed early and I slept in, and I feel great today because I had that, deficit. So anyway, 7 hours of sleep. You've got to set yourself up. I just listened to a podcast by Mel Robbins where she's talking about, yeah, you need 7 or 8 hours, but that doesn't mean you go to bed 7 hours or 8 hours before your wake up time. You start planning it an hour before you need to go to bed, doing your sleep routine. And if that sounds like a lot, we can get into more of that later. If you can't get that much sleep, if it's just impossible, there was a time when my job it was physically impossible to get that much sleep. They say that you can get 2 nights of full sleep if you can't get it every night I used to really truly believe that you can't like bank your sleep, but if you get 2 out of 5 nights in the cycle in a week, that's better than not. It's better than burning the candle on the weekends as well as during the week. I would say forego your workout in lieu of sleep because it is that important. So whenever anybody's, texts me like I had a horrible night's sleep, I'm just going to sleep in. I'm like, yes, that is the right choice. You got to do it. Sometimes you just have to listen to your body. I said blue light glasses. I said avoid the coffee in the afternoon. Synthetic sleep aids work just like alcohol. And I think a lot of us as we age, when we drink wine and like certain types of alcohol before bed, it really messes with your sleep. Like I know when I drink red wine, I am itchy all night and I'm tossing and turning. Synthetic sleep aids do the same thing, right? They make you tired, but you're not getting like the full sleep cycle through the REM cycle. It doesn't really give you what you need to really feel refreshed in the morning. The other thing you should do is create a healthy sleep environment, which means make your bedroom a place for sleeping and potentially sex and really nothing else. So the brain is going to associate that with a place for sleep if that's really all you do in there. So if you work in your room, if you're constantly bringing your laptop to bed, if you are watching a lot of TV or if you keep the TV on at night, that can really mess with your circadian rhythms. So I have a TV in my bedroom, and every once in a while on the weekends, as it's fun for us to like put a movie on and snuggle up. And, I do that every once in a while, but we don't watch TV like at the end of the night in bed. Really, we watch TV downstairs because it will really mess with your sleep. 60 to 65 degrees is the cool temperature that you want it to be. You could also cool your body down. If you're having trouble falling asleep, take a cool shower before bed to just cool your core temperature down, because that's what helps you fall asleep. You can de-stress with deep breathing or music. So we listen to something called megahertz something, and it sounds like a womb, and we literally keep it on the Sonos like all day. So when you go in our bedroom, it's like entering the womb. Every time you go in there, there's this music, and that's all we do is sleep in that room. Gotta tell you, for the Wolverines, working out early in the day also helps. On the nights that I have my class at night, I have to say my adrenaline's up, and I just don't even think I'm not tired. I don't go to bed as early, and that can kind of mess up your sleep. So there is a breathing technique. So if you're having either trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, like you get up, I get up every night at least to go to the bathroom once. It's been a rare occasion when I don't have to do that, but I can fall asleep pretty easily. But some people they're like, if I'm up, then it's really hard for me to go back to sleep. So, there is a breathing technique that's used by the military to help soldiers fall asleep really quickly when they have like little bouts of time. So what you want to do is like lay on your back, relax, exhale all your air out, and then 4 counts. Hold, exhale it all out, hold it for 4 counts. Inhale, hold it for 7 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds. I'll send you this breathing technique. They've got it down to a science where they can fall asleep in 2.5 minutes. I would start with doing that for 5 minutes. It is kind of the same principle as counting sheep, right? You're focusing your brain on counting the breaths and holding. Deep breathing also helps you to relax and all of that. But I think it has more to do with the counting, to be honest. But it really works. Whenever I need it, it's there and it really works for me. So if you practice it for when you need it, I just did for a while. I would do it like every night when I'd go to bed, I would just do it. And then on the nights when I've got like some kind of weird anxiety and I find myself up, I just do that and it totally works. It's like a crazy hack. So yeah, wind down, make your room for sleeping only, do your breathing. The second to the last item here is retrain. So this has to do with exercise, but if your exercise isn't fun, you're not going to do, number one, you're not going to want to do it. And number two, you're not getting the full benefit from the exercise. So if you're going to a class, and maybe it's my class, and you just really fucking hate it, right? You hate that type of exercise. I would say find something that you really like, right? Most people don't love running, but the people that are getting that dopamine rush from running become addicted to it, right? Like maybe they start by not liking it, but then they do it because they get that endorphin rush. So the dopamine is releasing when you have something pleasurable going on. So weave in strategies into exercise to make it fun, whether you're doing it with a friend, you're doing it to music that you like, you're doing different types of things that you like. Maybe it's just the changing it up. That's why I do different things, because when it gets boring and you're just going through the motions, you're not getting the same benefit. But exercise helps with gut health. It helps with better sleep. Most of us are happy when we've done it, right? You might wake up and the alarm goes off and you're like, eh. But when you're done, you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Nobody complains at the end of a workout. So it can increase your gut bacteria, which I told you that. But there's a study that shows people that start working out, their gut bacteria improves. And then when they stop, like let's say they have a sustained, like a week, it happens fast. It happens just as fast as how you start to lose muscle when you stop exercising. Your gut microbiome diversity declines. So they don't know the reason why this is happening, what's happening with the phenomenon, but exercise really, really helps with inflammation and gut microbiome. It's kind of fascinating. So lastly, this is the last one, reset. So following circadian rhythms will help you to get a whole reset on all of the things that we're trying to accomplish. Your metabolism, your gut microbiome, all of that. So circadian fasting is a little bit like intermittent fasting. I find it to be super, super gentle, and you're just eating during a 12-hour window. You start your fast at night, right? 3 hours before you go to bed, which is kind of normal. But if you can do it while the sun's still up, like as the sun goes down, you stop eating. So 7 o'clock, it's going to change in the summer. And then you don't eat until the sun comes up 12 hours later, sometime after a workout. And ideally, you would want to try and get some sun in the morning. So if you are a fortunate person who doesn't have to be to work at the crack of dawn, and you can get up and go for a walk outside, even just for 10 minutes in the sunlight, that's the ideal circadian fasting scenario. I never get the sun in the morning, but I do a fasted workout. I probably eat at like 8 or 9 when I get to work. I drink black coffee until then. I drink water. And then I really, really try to stop eating. You know, I try to eat dinner as early as possible and try to stop after dinner. And that's, I probably do that at least 5 or 6 days a week. Sometimes our schedules just don't allow. We've got a late dinner because you're eating at somebody else's house, and then you're having cocktails until midnight or whatever. Like that's life, and that's going to happen. But if you can get this down to be your default pattern, you will feel amazing. I promise you, you'll feel amazing. So it can be like, stop eating at 7, eat again at 7. Some people like to eat in the morning, and some people, I know people that can't work out without having something to eat first. It just makes them feel nauseous. So you've got to figure all that out. But the other thing with this is meal sizes are kind of flipped. So they make breakfast the largest meal of the day and dinner the smallest. And then this 12-hour nightly fast, it kind of keeps you, it's just not hard to do when you're sleeping for most of the time. So the why is our bodies are going to crave a schedule. And when it can count on getting all the things it needs, food, sleep, exercise, it doesn't have to be on high alert all the time with your brain sending you all the signals to tell you to do all the things. So you almost put yourself on autopilot. And don't get me wrong, we're incredibly adaptable, humans are, but what we're talking about is this is an optimal schedule. So, I would say try to eat at the same time every day. Don't skip meals. There's definitely a correlation to eating regular meals that are there's a correlation to eating irregularly tied to obesity and diabetes, heart disease. So people that, don't eat all morning, and then they, are eating at different times every day, it really confuses the body, and that releases cortisol. So the why behind this is actually very scientific, because cortisol interrupts your sleep too. So it's a very vicious cycle. The other thing you want to do is connect with the earth. Go outside. I think the Japanese call it forest bathing. You ground yourself in nature. It regulates your cortisol. They've also done studies that being outside can help your microbiome, your gut microbiome, all of the, different fungi and spores in the air are going to get into your body and create a change. So I think a lot of us in Northern California, I don't know how it is in Kansas, Nicole, but we love the outdoors. Grace is a big outdoors person. I know Natalie hikes, Jen hikes. I like to get outside as much as possible. During the work week, it's really hard. So I try to make sure I get outside on the weekends as much as possible. We go camping a lot, but most people, I think, feel much better when they get fresh air and they're spending time outdoors. So it's important.
We walk the dog.
Yeah, well, that counts, right? That counts. And we have to walk our dogs in the morning. So like that can count too. The other thing you can do is change your response to stress. So you can do that by reframing your response to the stressor. So for example, like, why is this happening to me versus what am I supposed to learn from this experience? Just reframing that narrative. This ties into the rewiring your brain. But when you can change your response to stress and lower your stress, you lower your cortisol, everything's ticking on your circadian rhythm path. And poor quality sleep in general is just linked to hunger and craving. So that overeating increases, which I said before. So we're going to replenish. We're going to get all the right nutrients. We're going to rewire our brains. We're going to reset our guts. We're reset our schedule. We're going to, what are the other ones? Replenish, refresh, rewire, retrain, all of it. So did I skip a slide? No. So on the first week, so this is our actual first week starting next week. We thought about things. Hopefully you read through some of the material. Our focus for week 1 is going to be hydration, a sleep goal, whatever is bothering you with your sleep, whether it's falling asleep, staying asleep, not giving yourself enough time to have enough sleep, whatever it is. Try and create a goal around sleep. And then the other thing is just EPA is what I call everyday physical activity. That's the walking, the cleaning, the being active just in your normal course of your life, and making choices like taking the stairs. If we can focus on these 3 things, maybe you're already great in these areas, but I found that most people are not. So we're going to drink water, and the recommended amount, or like a good place to start, is to take your body weight. So if you're 100 pounds, let's just call it 100 pounds, you divide that in half, 50 pounds, and you convert that to ounces. So 50 ounces of water for a 100-pound person is about right. Now, if it's a really hot day, if you're going in the sauna, if you're working out very hard, you're going to need more. You know, you can drink too much water. So I want to caution you, but I find that when I'm drinking about 100 and change ounces, I have so much energy. I wake up and I don't feel tired. I don't have a headache. I feel so much better with that hydration. So it's hard getting lots of water. And here's my hack for you in terms of getting water. Either the night before, if you're really organized, or in the morning, I wake up and I fill up this giant 40-ounce Stanley cup, which, by the way, I got to get rid of my Stanley cup because apparently they have lead in them. If they start leaking, there's lead that leaches out into your water. So get a Yeti if you haven't bought one.
My gosh.
I feel
Great. Another thing to think about.
I know. They'll
know.
be canceled in no time.
I feel like they should recall them and give us, like, make new ones and give us new ones. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. I like it because it's big, and I like it because it fits in my car. So Yeti makes the same one. If you haven't bought one yet, get a Yeti. The other thing, so I do this. I do a 32-ounce bottle and I do a 24-ounce bottle. I fill all those up either the night before or in the morning. I drink the 32-ounce bottle usually during my workout, and then I refill it, and then I take all three of those and I stick them in my car. I drink the 24-ounce on my way to work. Natalie, if you're wondering why I pee so much, it's because I front end load my drinking of the water, so I'm not up peeing all night. But that is my hack. Try to get, you shouldn't just like down a gallon of water in the morning and call it good. You should be drinking water throughout the day. But if you wake up and really hydrate, I find that makes a huge difference. And in the beginning, yes, you are going to be running to the bathroom all the time, but after a while, it's not so bad. Natalie did witness, I almost peed my pants before a meeting because we were driving around, got lost. And Jen, I'm sure that all sounds very familiar to you. But for the most part, I don't have any issues with overhydrating. The second one is we're choosing a sleep goal. So whatever yours is, you don't have to tell me. I have a tracker that if you want to use it, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. And then this week, what I really want you to also do, and this isn't on here, is just begin limiting your processed foods and resetting your gut. So for those of us who want to do the cleanse, do it sometime this week. Natalie and I think she's committed to doing Monday and Tuesday. Jen, if you want to do that with us, my sister has committed to doing something with you, Jen, right? So that's the leek soup. And Jen, I'm also going to send you a 5-day gut reset that includes the leek soup cleanse or not. They just kind of go hand in hand, but then it goes for the whole week.
Okay, great.
And I didn't do that last time. I don't think I had that information, but Dr. Shaw's put something else out. So, and then the last one is the EPA. So just focus on, like, if you can park at the end of the parking lot at Costco when you go shopping, do the walk, take the steps at work. If you have steps at work, we do not. Just try, maybe set a step goal for yourself. Say, I'm getting only 3,000 steps a day now. I want to move that up to 4,000 or 5,000, and try to just increase how much you're moving. A lot of you are working out with me, so that's great. You already have all the other stuff, but that's going to come later. What else? I'm looking through my notes. I don't know who wants to commit to like limiting or reducing caffeinated and alcoholic beverages during this time, but I'm going to try and not drink during the week. That's a good goal for me. Not that I drink during the week all that much, but if I just say that is out of the question and I'm going to limit to 1 or 2 on the weekends, that's a good goal. Blah, 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 100 ounces, la, 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 la. This is what happens when I'm not reading my notes, is I don't know where I'm at. Yes, if you overhydrate, it causes an electrolyte imbalance. So you want to make sure you're getting enough sodium in your diet with your water. If you're someone who has high sodium, it's probably not a worry. I have low sodium, so that's more of a concern for me. but do not drink more than a gallon, which is about 128 ounces. That is typically for anyone, probably too much water. Just dialing that back there. Yeah.
I was gonna say when you were talking about the big meals in the morning, I read on a diner menu one time, eat like a king for breakfast, a queen for lunch, and a pauper for dinner.
Yep.
So when Grace was talking about that, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard that before, but I don't
It's-
always do it.
It's not really part of our culture here, right? We tend to eat our bigger meals at night. But I have flipped it around. I don't always eat a small meal for dinner. I try, but sometimes I just, it's just the bigger meal that we make. But I definitely would encourage you to eat more food in the morning. I feel like, I don't know. When I was like constantly dieting, it was like, let me see how long I cannot eat very much food. And then I would just eat a ton of food at the end of the day and make up for all the calories that I wasn't eating. But if you set yourself up for being full in the morning, you're not going to need so much. Sometimes I don't need a ton of food for dinner. And so I'll make something big, but I'll have a few bites and that'll be fine. When we go to the protein, optimizing protein for skeletal muscle building, there is some protocol that her name's Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She talks about eating protein after your fast, breakfast, like in your breakfast, and then more protein at night, some protein in the middle of the day. So she's really calling for a bigger amount of protein, not necessarily a bigger meal, but higher protein meal before you go to bed to kind of set yourself up for the fast or whatever that's worth. So here is what the tracker looks like. I call it a habit tracker. So the first week, up at the top is, do you see a pointer there?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The first week is hydration, sleep, and everyday physical activity, and also not eating junk food. And the second week, we're adding the Super 6. So I want you to really focus on adding in those Super 6 nutrients. Walnuts, is in highlighted there. Bonus points if you can do the walnuts, but getting all of the polyphenols, the amino acids, the omega-3s, the fiber, the glucosinolates, right? That's the Super 6. So hitting on those every day. You have the recipes. Then the third week, after we do our gut health workshop, we're going to focus on adding in probiotics to 3 of our meals a day. And then the last one is protein. And it's really we're going to focus then on adding protein to our diet. I don't know why. Do you see this thing coming up here? Weird. Okay. Do I have a slide that's out of whack? Because I didn't do the caffeine one. Did I? That's so weird. I should have had a caffeine one in here. I saw it somewhere. Weird. Okay. I'm missing a slide.
The week of the 17th, I know I said I was tentative. Are you doing it that day? It's St. Patrick's Day.
I'm thinking of switching it to Saturday because we have a do I have any questions first? I want to keep the Q&A on the recording, but let's talk about like housekeeping stuff after I stop. Any questions, comments?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Great information.
Okay, I'm going to stop the record. Where do I find that?
You're sending an email, I assume, with like you did last week with all the links.
Yes, everything's coming at you. Where do I stop recording?